Today, I'm going to share with you a little secret, something personal that I just don't show anyone. This old book right here, it changed my life. Inside are 2 months worth of daily drawings that kicked off the commitment I made myself nearly 30 years ago. I drew every single day. No skipping, no excuses, and that decision, well, it shaped everything I've done since. Want to find out what's inside? So let's open up my drawing journal from 1996. I called it Diario de Dibujo. That's Spanish for drawing diary. And on the first page, I wrote my very first commandment. El proceso es más importante que el resultado. The process is more important than the result. Still true, by the way. Now, the next page, I tore it out. No clue why. Some early drama, I guess. But I tried not to do that again. That was part of the pact, too. No censorship. No ripping pages apart. Letting it all there. So, on January 1st, I grabbed a Pilot ball pen. Nothing fancy. I started drawing. Not a drawing pen. Just a regular pen you'd buy at a corner store. And that was intentional. I wanted to draw without erasing. That way the mistakes would stay there, loud and clear, and I could see what went wrong and how not to do it again. I drew everything, from life mostly, but I used whatever I had. Family, pets, street view, books on animals, figure pose books, old photographs, old magazines, art encyclopedias. If it sat still long enough, I drew it. This is where it all formally began. But let's rewind a bit. I've already been drawing a lot before this. Probably fulfilled like 4 or 5 different sketchbooks in 1995 alone. This wasn't my first rodeo. This was different. This was a New Year's resolution, a pact, a personal challenge, a devotional act even, to draw every single day. And it lasted 9 years. Yeah, 9 years of relentless ink-stained pages. But here's the thing. Some of my very best journals came after that period. I'll share those in a future video. But today, I want to take you back to the very beginning, when the habit got real, when it became a ritual. And on day 16, boom, little breakthrough. I realized you don't need to outline the whole figure. Leave just some contour lines open. And suddenly, light and shadow show up. Just like that. No teacher, no class, just repetition. I learned this all on my own. Just a happy accident. That moment taught me something big. Fewer lines often mean better drawings. Eventually, I moved on to the Sakura Pigma Micron 005. Again, nothing fancy, but this one was more precise. And I fell in love with these pens. And I still use them to this day, not just 005, but 03, 01. And I started copying from a book of Albert Dürer I had with me, and I still do. Wasn't even close to Dürer, obviously. But wow, I learned a ton just by trying. Next thing you know, I'm in the park drawing trees with the microns. The feel of the pen was everything. I'd switch back and forth. Ball pens for speed, microns for detail. And it's funny how something so basic, just black ink on paper, can feel so honest. What you're seeing here is the unedited, full version of this journal. I'm not leaving anything out, with the exception of that first page torn out. And on February 1st, I wrote my second commandment. No copies la moda, desarrolla tu propio modo. Don't copy trends, develop your own way. Bit cringy, sure. But hey, it still holds. Maybe I'd just simply say, don't imitate other styles. Just find your own voice. That was the idea, and you'll see that in this journal. Drawing people on public transportation, trees at the park, statues in books and at the museum, and a few self-portraits in my San Juan apartment. I just kept showing up to the page. I started playing with watercolor. Then switched to pencil. I kept applying that missing lines equals light principle, focused the shading where it mattered. Then I got brave and experimental. collage, markers, imagination, and yeah, a lot of terrible, like really bad pages. Like really bad. But that's the point, to find out what doesn't work. So I went back to what did work: pens and line, just the basics. Then slowly added color again. I explored sketchbook, calligraphy pens, even some more collage. It was all fair game. I had so much time. No TV, no internet, no phone, just silence. Hours to spend on my journal, alone, drawing. Perfect for drawing every night for hours, and occasionally I missed a day or passed out on my sketchbook. No big deal. I made it up the next day, double entry. Discipline over perfection. By the end of February, I exploded with mixed media, markers, watercolor, pens, everything. I'd ask myself, what if I combined this with that? Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but it always taught me something. And that's the real value of all of this. You're open to experiment and mess all these pages because no one's seeing. No one's having a look into my journal, well, until now that I'm sharing it with you. Near the end, I started messing up a lot. Pages got worse. I was burning out. Frustrated with life too. Let's just say, 1993 at the art school in San Juan, a year I'd rather forget. But these drawings, they're the best memories I kept from that time. And on the final page, I wrote, El que para, nunca llega. He who stops, never gets there. Where? I don't know. It's a little cringy now, but it's got some truth. And most importantly, I didn't stop. Not then, not now. So now that I've shown you where it's all started, let's work on a drawing together. In the year 2025, this one's inspired by a Loco, the fool from the Tarot. If there's one archetype that sums up that journal, it's this guy. Uncertain, bold, messy, experimental. He doesn't care what people think. He's got nothing but his bag, his loyal mutt, and endless curiosity and the road ahead. And that was me. No clues where I was going, but I was moving, trying stuff, making weird, nonsensical pages, and it paid off. The Fool is about beginnings, about taking the first leap without knowing the outcome. He reminds us that theory, perfection, and overthinking can sometimes kill creativity. We've all got baggage, intellectual, emotional, technical, but the Fool, he travels light. That's the energy I'm trying to channel in today's drawing. No easy feat to unlearn all the stuff you've been programmed from art school and before that. Here's a piece I started yesterday, just to break the ice. Nothing groundbreaking. Some watercolor and a few gestural pen lines, loose, playful, no pressure. Now today, I'm drawing a portrait of my friend, César. Everyone in El Barrio called him El Loco. I've drawn César many times before, but each time feels different. Not because his face has ever changed, but because I have. The lines come easier now, but the emotion behind them is still raw. Sometimes when I draw him, I'm not trying to get the likeness exactly right. I'm trying to capture the energy, the spark he had, the irreverent, joyful chaos he carried like a badge. Drawing someone you've lost is strange. It's not just a memory. It's like you're having a conversation all over again. One line becomes a moment. A shape becomes a story. And before you know it, they're back, if only for a moment. I think that's part of what art does. It keeps people alive, not just with pen on paper, pencil on paper, but in the movement of your hand. And maybe that's why I keep drawing every day. To hold on, to remember, to stay present, even with ghosts. But it's also about recovering those lost parts of myself. The early sparks, the first inklings of curiosity and wonder. When I draw in this journal, I'm also drawing that kid, in a way, who was once naive, imaginative, a bit reckless even. Kind of like the Fool. So that's the energy that's really inspiring these new drawings. That's the vibe I'm trying to tap into. Maybe we're all fools We're still drawing today, especially in the age of AI generated everything. But maybe that's the point. The ink stains, the human hesitation, the imperfect line. That's what makes it real. That's what makes it ours. So there you have it. That first journal, 29 years ago, one line at a time. It taught me how to begin. And it usually begins with simple materials. I'm using a 2B Stadler pencil, a few colored pencils, and some magic markers. I left blank areas to let light into the hat. Breathing space matters. You don't have to fill the whole page, just enough chaos to make it fun, and leave it at the right moment. My dear friend César, he used to go UFO hunting, so naturally I added a flying saucer in the background. And I like to remember what he used to say, lo poco agrada, lo mucho enfada. Less pleases, too much annoys. So I hope this video pleased you just enough to inspire you. Let me know how your daily drawing practices is going. Got any questions, want tips on techniques, or maybe just want to talk about archetypes? I'm here for it. And as I always say, may the gods, muses, angels, or whatever you want to call these timeless cosmic archetypes be your guides and inspiration. Till next time, peace. Hey, if you made it this far, you deserve a dance break. That's my friend César. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, tap the bell, and check out the next video. More drawings, more stories, more archetypes. See you in the next one. Bye.